Welcome to another episode of the Palace Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts.
The middle at the 15 to the 20, breaks free of the 25 to the 30, to the outside, 40, midfield, 40, 30 on the toe, 20, 15, Hester 5, touchdown Bears!
What's up, Palace Huddlers? Huddle up!
Okay.
You know, the intro to the podcast for the midweek episode, it gets me pumped. Like, always listening
I'm just
to that
thinking
play.
the same thing. It just puts a smile on my face because I still don't expect. I don't know. I'm just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
They're having very high highs as a Bears fan.
Could be the worst week going on. Maybe coming off of a 3-point loss to the New England Patriots. And it's still like,
I mean, it was a 16-point loss, but
I'm sorry, a 3-point score.
just make sure we remember exactly how terrible it was.
It was bad. It was bad. Yeah. All right. So this is the House Huddle Podcast. As always, I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. This is the midweek episode. So with me is Bob Weiss. We're going to dive into the Packers preview this week, talk about what's going on throughout the things that have happened since I had the episode with Justin postgame for the Patriots. There's been a lot.
Some developments.
Yeah. But before we do that, please hit the subscribe button. We are 14 subscribers away from giving away a free NFL jersey. Any NFL jersey of your choice that is not considered custom, you will get that jersey sent to you directly on us. All you have to do is be a subscriber. You'll be entered to be in that giveaway. Once we hit 700 subscribers, we will spin a wheel, do some type of drawing, and then give that jersey away. And then there'll be another type of giveaway afterwards, so definitely stick around, okay? Don't just subscribe and then unsubscribe later if you don't win. Also, comments. We love comments. Hit the like button.
Yeah, the comments have been kind of light lately. I mean, we love Philip, Dr. Truth, you guys, I love to see what your thoughts are too. But come on, everyone.
Our regulars have been in there, but and thank you. We love that support, but let's get some other people in there going. I think the big thing is we're not asking for this stuff in the beginning of the episodes. We've been jumping right in. So that's why I want to get this off right at the top. Like, hit the like button, comment, subscribe. Please do that. It helps the show, helps the algorithm. Just all good things. Also, if you want to bet on the Chicago Bears, I would probably bet against them this week. But if you want to bet against the Chicago Bears, please go to our sign-up page, sponsored by BetStamp. You will find the best odds, the best sign-up offers in your region. It doesn't have to be from Illinois. It can be anywhere in the United States. If you have sports books in your area, they will pop up, and you can find the best odds to bet against the Chicago Bears by going to our sign-up page at signupexpert.com/huddle. Once again, signupexpert.com/huddle. That link will be in the description of this episode. All right, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Shane Waldron is fired.
They did something. They made a move in the middle of a season.
First time ever, even for a coordinator, offensive coordinator.
Which is wild. Yeah, obviously there was a change in defensive coordinator in the middle of the season last year, but
he resigned.
Right. Yeah, maybe we'll get into that later or another episode. But.
Yeah, we'll touch on it a little bit, but yeah. So Shane Waldron is out. He is out of there. Bob, I mean, how did we get this? And not just when I say we, not the Chicago. How did the Chicago Bears get this so wrong? Yep. But how did we get it so wrong? And not just this podcast. I'm talking all fans. I mean, Shane Waldron was easily in most people's top 3. Mm-hmm. A lot of people had him as their number 1 choice. How did this go so wrong?
I think it shows the power of a positive national narrative. Like he got all the credit for Geno Smith's turnaround, right? And because the national narrative on Geno Smith in the first place was that he was terrible because of what happened in the Jets, even though the Jets are a mess. And so it's just, one narrative on top of another narrative on top of another narrative. So all we knew is here's a guy who looked like he had success with a quarterback who was supposed to be a bust. And it was legitimate success. I mean, the Seattle offense was like average at worst, right? I mean, they were fine. They were scoring points. They were winning games. They were fine. So it's like, oh, great. Look at this offensive coordinator who took a quarterback at bust and made him productive. Like, How can that be bad? How can that be bad? And then that's as far as we thought it through. But I think that there was definitely some local narratives. If you look back at even at that time where, Pete Carroll had said in some of his press conferences while Shane Waldron was the offensive coordinator, that we're not doing the best job of utilizing all the weapons we have. Fans were a problem. Fans didn't care that he wasn't coming back. That was kind of a red flag. And even after the hiring, we had some things. I know on CHGO, there's the famous Jackson Smith and Jigma quote where they asked him what we should expect out of Shane Waldron, and his first response was, "Are we live?"
Yeah.
That wasn't a good sign. And then I remember even on the Hogan Johns podcast, they had a Seattle beat writer come on, and he didn't have hardly anything good to say. Now, he didn't say he was going to be terrible, but he didn't really say that it was some slam dunk hire, that there's definitely some questionable play calls in there. There's definitely some utilization of the weapons that were an issue. And then even like Shane Waldron's initial press conference wasn't exactly confidence inspiring, right? He wasn't necessarily a clear communicator. He wasn't exactly speaking with a lot of passion. And, he was nervous or whatever. He doesn't need to be. But I'm really starting to think that these press conferences and how you handle yourself in a press conference, it does show how you communicate, right? I mean, especially you go back to Matt Nagy, the word salad. He just keep talking around things. Like, I don't think he was like that in press conferences. Then all of a sudden went back in the locker room and meetings and was a completely clear and concise communicator. That's just how he communicated. So with Shane Waldron kind of being mumbling, kind of just not being assertive, like at his press conferences, like I think that that's what he's doing behind closed doors as well. And so now you kind of contrast that with what we just saw out of Thomas Brown yesterday, and it was very different. It was clear, it was direct, it was concise. He didn't care if you liked the answer or not. That was his answer. And so, hopefully that's going to be his coaching style. But I mean, what's your thoughts? What are your retrospect on how we got here?
Yeah, I mean, you covered it very, very well. There's not a lot for me to add in here. We talked about it on our episode earlier in this week where you kind of saw Shane Waldron on the sideline just kind of smiling, having a good old time while they're getting their asses kicked by the Patriots. And you could just see the frustration on Caleb Williams' face. And I don't know if it's just a lack of focus. I don't know if it's just, like you said, maybe just the way he communicates. It doesn't come off right. But clearly players were not happy with the situation. People on the team, veterans, went to voice their frustrations. From what I understand, from what I understand, Matt Eberflus was trying to keep Shane Waldron around. Pressure from players and personnel made that not happen. The more that we're getting out of this situation, it also makes me believe that the Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles love isn't as lovable and loving as it seems. And the whole, he had 3 people to choose from before he was even hired, was pushed out. That narrative was, no, I really like Eberflus. We had a connection, blah, 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 blah. I just don't buy it. I just don't. I think it's just PR spin. I think Ryan Poles is frustrated. Oh my gosh. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll go in real quick, just talking about the difference of the head coach from Waldron. Like, we kind of talked an episode or 2 ago with that, Doug Kramer, fullback dive. Like, there's no, like, Eberflus is not keeping the reins in on Shane Waldron, right? Shane Waldron was still able to run an effective offense. That's what we were still hoping to be able to run an effective offense here, but maybe just in a structure from a proven NFL head coach, Shane Waldron was able to thrive in that type of environment because there was a clear direction from the head coach about how the offense should look and how the offense should function. With Eberflus, I don't think Waldron was getting that.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that this gets to be released as a part of our podcast series. I have an article coming out tomorrow. I got to interview Matt Forte today, and we did dive into a little bit of the situation with Waldron. And I'm not going to give much away because I still don't have authority to do it yet. But the few things that we did talk about from a football perspective, he brought up the Kramer play. He brought up the Indianapolis play with the Carter using him to block, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that's what we brought up and not just the option play, because I mean all of it was a horrible stuff.
The option play was a part of it too, right? He talked about the option, right? Like where are we going with that, right? But you go back and you look at those things and you look at the press conference, we're talking press conferences. You look at the press conference that happened afterwards, and Matt Eberflus pretty much threw Waldron under the bus at that point in his way of saying, like, look, we got to look at it. Like, this isn't how things need to be. Things need to be better, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, 2 weeks in a row, they played much better. Again, bad defenses, I get it, but they played against bad defenses pretty much the whole start of the season. And you could tell that there was disconnect between the head coach and the offensive coordinator. So, like you're saying, like, I don't know if he's just trying to go hands off. Like, hey, you run the offense, I run the defense. You can't do that.
Right. Not with a guy like Waldron who apparently needs those
guidance.
Needs the guidance. So that's actually probably a pretty good segue. I mean, we wanted to touch on the Waldron news because that's the biggest development this week, but that might be a good segue to get into our news and noise segment.
Yeah. Let's dive into news or noise. For those of you who are new to the show, news or noise, I'm going to throw out some comments, some situations that are going on throughout like social media that we're seeing out there regarding the Bears. And we're going to decide if it's actually news, as in newsworthy, maybe a little bit of truth, or if it's complete noise, it's nonsense. Why are we even talking about this? Sometimes we'll toe the line in the middle, but it's typically, news or noise. So number one, the first one out here, the Bears offense will look exactly the same even after firing Shane Waldron. News or noise?
So because we're binary, you got to pick one or the other. I will say noise, but not because I have full faith that the whole thing is going to get turned around. As we were just talking about, this is still Eberflus's team. He's still going to have his input or lack of input about what to put on this offense. And so Thomas Brown, we really don't know a ton about Thomas Brown. He's got he listed some of his mentors in his press conference the other day. Obviously, Sean McVay was a big one that he listed, but Jim Caldwell, I think, was another one that he's got a lot of experience with. So, I mean, that's all well and good, but he doesn't really have any experience running his own offense. He was, I believe, just an offensive quality control coach in LA. I don't think he was actually even the quarterback's coach out there.
He ended up becoming the assistant coach and then the running backs coach for LA before he left.
Okay, gotcha. And then he was a quarterback's coach, I believe, for Carolina and elevated into the offensive coordinator after Reich got fired last year. But he's still just running Reich's offense. He wasn't, running his own offense. And let's just be very clear about what happened after Thomas Brown took over last year. It was not good. It was not any better. It was not an improvement. But that being said, I will say I do believe Carolina's situation last year and the Bears' situation this year is vastly different. Simply just because of talent. There's talent on this offense. And there has been success. Like as Eberflus says, you want to poke fun at it or not, there's video evidence of this offense being successful in the NFL with these players. So what I'm really hoping is that, the offense itself, they're not going to have a new playbook. I know playbooks aren't even really a thing in the NFL anymore, but, it's still going to be the same basic concepts. But first and foremost, what I'm hoping is pre-snap penalties are going to get cleaned up. Pre-snap penalties are, I think, a direct reflection of your emphasis on those in practice. And I think some of the whispers that we've heard about Shane Waldron coming out being too nice of a guy, just not really pressing and working the players, like you got to stamp that out in practice. There's no way you're going to tell me that if they're working on all this stuff, that it's 100% perfect in practice, and then there's coming out into the games having 6 or 7 pre-snap penalties in a game. There's no way. Practice must either not be emphasized or practice is bad, and they're just letting him get away with it. So hopefully he's going to emphasize it or not let them get away with that kind of stuff in practice. And then the other thing, hopefully, it's just something that I've heard kind of whispers about, is just Shane Waldron seems to kind of just be picking plays at random, and they're not really playing off of each other. So hopefully just maybe some play call sequencing within games and maybe in-game adjustments will be better. So hopefully all of those little things will add up over time into big improvements. But for the most part, yeah, maybe it will look the same, but not exactly the same.
So I said we try not to be on the fence, but I'm going to be on the fence with this. And I do think there's obviously some news to this. And let me start with the news part of it first. The news part is Matt Eberflus still runs this team. Matt Eberflus was here before these current coaches, and we saw this with Justin Fields. We saw him pound the aggressiveness out of his quarterback. 2021 tape, when it was Matt Nagy's offense, how quick the decision-making was with Justin Fields. The release was faster. He was throwing balls with more anticipation. Still wasn't great at it, but was with more anticipation than we saw in 2022, what we saw in 2023. It is obvious to me now seeing Caleb Williams doing the exact same thing look, he can throw a better anticipatory ball. I've been talking about this from the beginning when I was going through his draft process. I've been talking about it since watching him here on film in Chicago. The amount of times that we are now seeing him hesitate and do the hesitant, like, I don't know if I should throw it, and then go to throw it and then get sacked. Or his accuracy is off because now his footwork is off. It is frustrating because I can literally tell that this is your conservative quarterback or conservative head coach who wants to win by holding the other team to 20 points or less and not turning the ball over. We heard Matt Eberflus after was it the Jacksonville game? I think it was the Jacksonville game where he threw an interception. Caleb Williams had a great game.
Yeah.
Offense had a great game.
Yep.
And yet Matt Eberflus focused on the one interception. I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast yet. I'm pretty sure I did with Justin last week. Sam Darnold, 3 interceptions. Okay. Still won the game. Jared Goff, 5 interceptions against Houston. Still won the game. Look, you got to take your chances. You got to take your risks.
Just to add that real quick, the Bears in the last 3 games combined are +3 in the turnover margin.
Exactly. It doesn't always work. It doesn't. So it's very frustrating to see what's happening to a quarterback that I still believe is better than Justin Fields from a passing perspective, and who I still believe can become one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Now let's look at the noise part of it. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same for a lot of the reasons that you had already said. Thomas Brown, look, I watched the video and I can't remember what it was from, but it probably could have been like a Hard Knocks or something, but it was a clip that he was featured in. Sean McVay was talking about him. You got to see some of the behind the scenes stuff with him as a coach in LA. Very focused, very heavy on attention to details, things that don't seem to be happening here with Shane Waldron. So I do think that will turn things around eventually. I don't think it's going to happen in 1 week. Why do I say that? He was the Chicago Bears passing game coordinator.
Yeah, we got to figure out exactly what that means.
Caleb Williams said he doesn't even have a relationship with him because he's barely spoken to the guy.
So I did hear somewhere that like that whole thing, like I don't know if you guys listen and know what Rob's talking about. Caleb Williams' press conference on Wednesday yesterday said, I really haven't had too much conversations with Thomas Brown to this point because our paths just haven't crossed or something like that. Like, what are you talking about? He's the passing game coordinator. But I think that what that is, they brought all these guys in the offseason. They're like, look at this big support system that we're bringing in for him. But at the same time, they were worried about having too many voices in his ear. So I think that might have been it. Like, hey, it's just going to be Shane. It's just going to be Eberflus, Shane, and I'm blanking on the quarterback. Kerry Joseph. Like, those are going to be our main communicators with them. So I'm hoping, let's just give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm hoping that that's kind of what it is. But I mean, like Thomas Brown said in his press conference, he's in all the meetings with Caleb. It's not like they just never have seen each other until this week. But yeah, that was a weird thing that Caleb said.
But I'm just wondering how much emphasis he's even allowed to give into the passing game?
Right.
Or is it just a stupid title that they gave him to try to get him to come here? Right. Like you see that happen sometimes where they just give guys titles to stay so they can give them a raise.
What I believe. And they're not asking him to design offensive passing plays.
Right.
They're asking him to, all right, so these are the things Shane liked to do. Let's scout our next opponent. Thomas, how do you think that we can attack this opponent with this? And then if Shane Waldron isn't even calling the plays in the right sequencing anyway, then what does that even really matter?
Well, we've already seen DJ Moore and Keenan Allen also come out and say things that sound like very positive spin on the fact that Thomas Brown is going to be bringing some changes to this offense in the passing attack. So, again, there's the noise part of it.
I hope that that's the case too, because one thing that I don't think Shane Waldron was doing is like, can't a play just be Keenan get open? Like I feel like everything's got. Nagy had the same thing. Everyone's got to be a design play, and it's got to work on the chalkboard. You got to run whatever on the chalkboard. Like, and he comes from Kansas City, where they do just run Travis Kelce get open plays.
Yeah,
like, that's it. That's the play. So I mean, hopefully they bring some of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Shane Waldron, I still think is a scapegoat, but we'll move on from that. And it's a good segue here because we just talked about DJ Moore. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with DJ Moore and the play where in the Arizona game, he walks off the field in the middle of the play, almost the end of the play. Because to be honest, it didn't look like Caleb Williams was going to be able to come back and actually do anything on that play, but he did. At that point, DJ Moore is off the field, goes to the bench. Look, he comes back in on the next play, and he runs a go route. I get it. People are all over my ass about this on social media. I will tell you, though, when I watched him walk off that field live, I was concerned that he was hurt. It didn't look like he just walked off normally. It wasn't just a frustration, I'm putting my head down and walking off. But before we get into that, news or noise, DJ Moore is a diva. Wide receivers, they're viewed as divas. DJ Moore is now a diva.
So, I mean, you framed it that way. Like, I'm still going to say noise. But, I mean, my defense in DJ Moore, even though noise, he's not a diva, he's still a wide receiver. He still wants the damn ball, right? He's a number one wide receiver in the NFL. But I don't really think that he's a problem the way he's being portrayed. Like, there's been a lot of things that have happened this season that, like, are a bad look. And I understand that. But, like, this is still the guy who caught the first pass of the preseason game in the Hall of Fame game, ran over 3 defenders and said, I like football. I like football. He's just a good dude that's frustrated, I think.
They haven't scored a touchdown in 4, 8, 9, 10 quarters?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, could he be handling it better? That's fine. But I don't think DJ Moore is tearing the team apart. And that's what I think about when you label somebody a diva. Like, it's DJ Moore over the Chicago Bears. I don't think that's what DJ Moore is. I don't think he's trying to make himself bigger than the Bears. I think he's just frustrated with the Bears.
Yeah, he's frustrated with the Bears. He's frustrated with the offense. He's frustrated with Shane Waldron, clearly. But Xavier McKinney, corner out of man, I am struggling tonight. Out of Green Bay, had this to say. This dude walked out on his QB. I've been playing football for 5 years now, and I've been watching football for longer than that. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. You're supposed to be the guy, and you're walking off the field on a rookie QB. Again, okay, I'm going to jump in here because I'm heated about this. Again, he didn't walk out on his quarterback. That's not what happened. The veterans are pushing for him to get out. No, we'll talk about that in a minute too. But he did not just walk out on his quarterback. Here's my thing. DJ Moore is not on his rookie deal, right? This isn't his first paid contract. This is his second paid contract. He hasn't shown you signs of being a cancer in the locker room at all up to this point. And he played for Carolina for 4 years, right? No, was it 5? 5 years.
If anything, it's part of maybe he's just struggling with expectations for the first time in his career.
Correct. The guy's been getting beat up. He's not getting the ball to him. He's not playing as well as he would like because he's had a few drops this year that have been frustrating from a fan perspective. It's all just frustration. It has nothing to do with Caleb Williams specifically. I don't want to. I hear all the Justin Fields truthers out there. Oh, he wanted Justin. He hates Caleb Williams. I just call bullshit. I call bullshit. It's complete noise. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I got nothing to add to that. Sorry, I was doing some research for the next point, but yeah, I think it's noise. We love DJ Moore.
Well, we kind of hinted at this next one. Yeah. All right. I hinted at it a little bit, but news or noise, number 3, Tyson Bagent would be an improvement right now over Caleb Williams. News or noise?
Can I throw this at you? You want to take the first crack at it?
Yes, because this was yours. And I feel like it's worded in a specific way for me to have to say news or noise. And here's the thing. I'm still going noise. I get that Tyson Bagent is now in his second year. I get that we saw him look great during the preseason at times. Don't forget, he looked awful the first preseason game because the Hall of Fame game, he did not look good at all. And Nathan, I throw interceptions on a daily basis. Peterman looked better than Tyson Bagent, right? So I don't want to hear this nonsense. He was, I believe, 2-2 last year when he played.
2-2 in his 4 starts.
In his 4 starts.
And they did lose the other game that he played a majority in after Fields got hurt.
Right. So again, I think he threw 5 interceptions over that span. I love Tyson Bagent. I think he's a good guy to have. I think he's a good backup. I think he can come in and win you a couple football games. He is not a stand-up in the passer, like in the backfield, can play 17 games as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I will throw it out there. This was on Reddit. Okay, before I even get there, look, there was rumors that there were veteran players who wanted Caleb Williams benched. Some of those rumors were, they want him benched because he's getting beat to hell, and we think he would do better if he was benched. Tyson Bagent has a little bit more experience. You bring him in, you play him. Let Caleb learn on the bench. Give him a break. That was one of the rumors. The other rumor is that they just thought that Tyson Bagent was the better player. A lot of this came from fans. This rumor specifically came from Mark Silverman. Okay, ESPN, Sylvie and Waddle.
Sylvie on ESPN 1000 radio. Yep.
Love those guys. I really do. But here's the thing. They're also media guys. Okay? They're here to spin things. They're also here to relay information that they get from people. It turns out, and we don't know this for sure because here I am doing exactly what he did. The speculation is that the day before, and I did not hear this, but the day before he said he had some interesting news. Then the next day he gives the interesting news about the fact that he's hearing veterans wanted Caleb Williams benched. According to a source on Reddit, take that with whatever the fucking grain you want, because I don't believe half that crap, is that these leaks are coming from Tyson Bagent's dad. I'll be honest, knowing who he is, knowing how much he loves attention, knowing how Tyson Bagent is, it wouldn't surprise the hell out of me that he's making this shit up.
It doesn't surprise me either. Now that's us, again, just connecting dots. It's not necessarily proven that these were definitely coming from Mr. Bagent, but
and I don't think Tyson is that type of guy.
Those dots are pretty close to each other, and they make a pretty nice picture if you were to connect them. So, that's fine. But it certainly seems like that's very, very plausible. And I also know part of it is that Sylvie has a relationship with Mr. Bagent. He's come on the show. They're friendly. Like it's really not a stretch to think that that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Again, I love Sylvie. I love Waddle. But look, I'll be honest. There's things that Tom Waddle says that I don't agree with from even a film breakdown perspective. Like, he's a former wide receiver. I get it. But I fought with him and David Kaplan, also from ESPN, on social media just the other day talking about the what was it? 2nd and 3. It was 2nd and goal from like the 3 when Caleb Williams, maybe it was further back, maybe 5, threw the 1v1 to Keenan Allen on the left side, kind of going towards the corner, right? It was just a little 1v1 matchup. He threw it. Could have been a little bit of a better ball.
It needed to be a better ball. It would have been interference if it was a better
Everyone's talking about the damn check down that he should have thrown to DJ Moore. First of all, to me, that's not a check down. That was a fucking route.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy ran the route from the beginning. I'm not a professional football player, but a check down to me is someone who comes off the line, delayed, out of the backfield, delayed, someone who changes their route in order to get to a point where if you're struggling and you're scrambling, you need to get to someone, you check it down to them. That to me is the definition of a check down. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't disagree with you there, but I'd also say when you're talking about like you're going to Keenan Allen because he's one-on-one on the goal line.
One-on-one.
When you're one-on-one on the goal line, that's the play. There is no second option.
Right.
Like,
he loved the matchup. He was already throwing the ball before DJ Moore was open. Again, I love Tom Waddle, but I'm going to disagree with him. I'm going to disagree with Kaplan. I'm going to disagree with Krutz because Kaplan was like, look, Cap's like, hey, take that. All these guys, I'm going to believe them before I believe Mr. Blogger Rob Schwartz, right? Great. I don't care what you think. More people kind of supported me online than they supported
I got
him.
your back on that one, Rob. I got you.
So, again, I love these guys, but you're getting information that you're hoping is true.
Would Tyson Bagent have checked it down to DJ Moore?
No.
Okay, right, because it's a one-on-one route on the goal line, and that's what you do.
So, based on your reaction, though, I feel like you're also noise on this.
So I'm
or are you in the middle?
So because of the way it's worded, it's right now, and the Bears are coming off of 23 straight offensive possessions without a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay. Caleb Williams has been sacked 15 times, I believe, in the last 2 games. As bad as Bears offense has been in our existence, this is the first time since I forget how long ago. I don't want to, but it's a long time. It's longer than you think as a Bears fan. I want to say it was from the 90s that a Bears quarterback has been sacked 6 times back-to-back games. Think about that. How bad the offensive lines have been and how bad our quarterbacks have been. This is the first time. Okay. It's 23 straight drives without a touchdown, which is also the worst since I think 2004 or 2005. I mean, I forget. I think that might have been the terrible offense back then. So it's really, really, really bad. And the sacks and not getting the ball out are a part of what's been so bad. And remember last year, I mean, Tyson Bagent wasn't moving the ball up and down the field, but he played 4.5 games in relief of Justin Fields last year and was sacked 5 times combined through the same offensive line, the same offensive coordinator, the same everything. 5 sacks in, let's call it 5 games, 4.5 games. The quarterback has a lot to do with how often you're getting sacked. It's not just the garbage offensive line that we have. So when you're talking about an offense who can't help themselves from pre-snap penalties and a quarterback who can't help himself get out of sacks, maybe there might be some improvement by having a quarterback who will get the ball out. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because I'm saying it might be news that Tyson Bagent might be improving right now with Caleb Williams, I am not advocating for this. Let's just be clear about that. Caleb Williams needs to take his lump. Caleb Williams needs to figure this out. He needs to come out better on the other end of it. I'm just saying that, oh my gosh, the offensive line is so bad. Justin Fields is getting sacked all the time. A worse quarterback in the same offense with the same coordinator with the same offensive line was sacked 5 times in 5 games. Okay. Justin Fields was sacked 4 times in that game that he got hurt before he came out. And Tyson Bagent was 5 times in that game plus the next 4. So it could make a difference. It could make an improvement, just that alone.
I mean, it's going to depend, though, if your receiver gets open on your first read, because he's a single read, quick, get the ball out type of quarterback, which is fine. But you got to be in a Kyle Shanahan.
Sounds like Jaden Daniels.
Exactly. You got to be in one of those types of situations where you can just get the ball right into your receiver's hand and
some of that might fall on the offense coordinator too, because I mean, I'm not saying that that's what Caleb Williams' strength is, but we have the weapons for that kind of offense.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So this was a fun first half, but let's get to the actual matchup. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back and we're going to actually go into Bears versus Packers and break that down a little bit. Until then, enjoy these ads.
All right, we are back, Hallis Huddlers. This has been a little bit of a lengthy episode, but hey, there's been a lot of news this week to cover, and we have not been able to rant about it yet. We thought it was going to happen since Justin and I delayed the podcast one day, and that did not work because the little weak Eberflus was afraid to fire Shane Waldron, and it took an extra day to do it. So,
yeah. Well, there's a process, Rob. You got to go through the process. Come on.
Hey, Shane, it's been fun, man, but I got to try to save my ass, so I'm letting you go.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, I guess Trace Armstrong finally allowed it.
I will say Gary Ross told me that night on Monday, Shane Waldron was eating steak at Hallis Hall. So, look, it was legit that he was not thinking he was getting let go.
Or it's just, as long as I'm here, I might as well.
My last meal. All right, let's look at the injury updates before we talk about the game itself. The Bears have Amagaji has not practiced now again for another week. He's probably not going to play. Tevin Jenkins has not practiced both Wednesday and Thursday. If he is not practicing as of tomorrow, I would expect him to not play, which is kind of maybe a good thing because he just keeps coming in and getting hurt anyway.
Right. And you got Ryan Bates, who hopefully can, You
got Ryan Bates back. But the big news is that both Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones were limited participants in both Wednesdays and Thursdays practice. So hopefully at least one, because Braxton Jones was had potential last week to come back. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping at least one of those two guys can. If they both can, that's going to be huge for this offensive line. That would allow you to move Matt Pryor either to left guard or back into right, and you move Ryan Bates to left guard or right guard, however which way you want to do it with those two.
Yep.
So yeah, let's hope that happens. Yeah. Outside of that, there's no other obvious guys except for Jaquan Brisker, and I'm going to raise a glass to Jaquan Brisker because I don't know if this guy's going to come back and play football again.
Yeah.
He has now been placed on injured reserve, so that's another 4 weeks minimum, right, that he's going to be out. I don't think they can backdate that. I'd have to double check that rule.
I don't think it works the way it does in baseball where you can backfill games already. I think
I'm pretty positive that he is going to be out for another 4 weeks. That puts him out. I mean, at this point, if they're not even making the playoffs, you don't even bring him back, in my opinion. So looks worse right now than the Tua Tagovailoa. Oh my gosh, I know I can say it, Tagovailoa.
I'm not even going to try. So
the Tua situation in Miami looks worse than that. He hasn't played in weeks. On an injury that happened because of not poor form by him, but poor form by the tight end. And I just really hope, because look, football is fun. Football is a very important part of their lives. It's obviously a very important part of our lives as fans. But there's more to life than football. So I just hope that he gets things right and he doesn't have any long-term effects that linger from what's going on, because he's had multiple concussions every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sad thing to see, because
it's a serious situation.
He was having a hell of a season this year.
He really was. He was finally living up to the player that he wanted to be, and it was exciting to see. And then it's just sad to, see now life might be a problem, not just football.
Right.
So, wishing him the best, hope for the best. On to the Packers, because the Bears got to go on to the Packers. So on to the Packers. Their injury list actually has a lot of names on it, but I don't believe anyone's actually expected to miss the game. However, if someone does miss the game, maybe that kind of tells you what the Packers are, how afraid they actually are of the Bears or not. But Jordan Love is on the injury report. Remember a couple games ago, he had a groin issue, and Malik Willis came in and finished that game. Jordan Love did play last week, and he is on the injury report, but still as a full participant both Wednesday and Thursday. Josh Jacobs is on the injury report as a limited participant with a quad.
He has to play because he's on my fantasy team with Justin.
Okay. We'll get into that in a little bit. It looks like a good matchup. Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, who always seems to wreck the game against the Bears. was also a limited participant, and Jair Alexander, a really good cornerback, also a limited participant. There's some other guys on their injury report too, but again, all limited participants, and no one really expected to miss the game, I believe.
Yeah, they're coming off their bye, so they should be a little bit healthier, obviously, because of that. So that, here in Chicago, bye weeks are a problem, right? I don't think that's going to happen for Matt LaFleur down there up there in Green Bay. Again,
we'll
coach
find
that
out.
I wanted. Coach I wanted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the opponent overview. I'm going to start off right now by ruining all of your guys' days, nights. Whenever you're listening to this, your day is going to be ruined. It's going to be ruined.
I mean, to be fair, Rob, we're Bears fans, and I think everyone's day was ruined on Sunday. Everyone's week was ruined on Sunday. I think we recovered.
Well, if you have any hope of the Chicago Bears winning this game, I'm going to tell you right now, do not bet on Chicago winning this game. The Packers have won their last 10 matchups. Their last 10. That's 5 years. Even worse, they have won 15 of the last 16 matchups. And if we want to extrapolate it a little bit further, the Packers have won 25 out of the last 28 matchups. The last time...
That is so bad.
The only time that the Bears have swept the Packers in 1 year goes all the way back to the Lovie Smith era. It happened once.
I'm sure that was one game that we didn't have to face Favre, Rodgers.
Probably. It could have been the collarbone game that helped, thanks to Shane McClellan, who did one thing in his life and then won a Super Bowl with the Patriots.
So the Bears have beat the Packers 3 times in the last 14 years, is basically.
Now we know why Aaron Rodgers says they own the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I can't really argue that one. Yeah. And I'm going to go one step further here. I know the Packers have won 10 straight. Not only have the Packers won 10 straight, they have covered in 10 straight games. So that means the Bears haven't even lived up to expectations in any of those games.
Do not bet on the Bears.
Yeah.
Bet against them.
Yeah.
This is why, and I didn't know it was this bad, but this is why you have said, and many people have said, is Philip, for example, in the comment section has said this multiple times, that the Bears will never beat the Packers, and he's not going to believe it until he sees it.
That's right.
And this is why. This is why we have to see it. Because it has been this bad throughout your and my lifetime.
Yeah. And this is a case where there's not even really video evidence that they have done it in the past. They just haven't done it in 14 plus years.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Well, there we go. There's the breakdown.
That is the breakdown. We don't even need to talk about what's going to happen because we know the outcome is going to be an L, right? It's going to be an L. However, I have a little bit of a thing to say here. If the Chicago Bears get blown out, Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren need to man up. I hate that phrase. They need to toughen up, do whatever it takes. Tell George McCaskey to sit down and let them run the team, because I also heard that he has been in weekly meetings with these guys, but yet he's just a fan. Stop being Jerry fucking Jones because you're an idiot when it comes to football. Let these guys run the team and fire Matt Eberflus. If they get blown out, you have to fire Matt Eberflus. You have to.
Yeah, I mean, we talked, last episode that when Trestman, the back-to-back 50 points was clear at that point, the team had quit on the coach, given up. Like, if this is the third non-competitive game in a row, what other evidence do you need? We've already said, yeah, Shane Waldron was a problem, but part of Shane Waldron's problem was Matt Eberflus. Like, if you come out again and just don't even compete, then it's just like, what are we doing here? What could change? What's going to turn around? Like, you're now just putting your entire coaching future on Thomas Brown's ability to turn this offense around. Like, what's the point? Like, we really want to talk about breaking the cycle. You've already chosen not to break the cycle in the offseason or in the,
Yes.
or you've chosen to keep the cycle going,
Yes.
actually, in the offseason by not marrying the head coach's tenure with the quarterbacks. So now at least do something that shows we're going to do something different.
You want to see how bad the cycle is? Just Google Kevin Fishbane. And I don't know what else you would search for it. Probably Bears history.
Okay.
And you'll see a little clip that he put together of the history since Lovie. I think it goes back to Lovie Smith. And just watch it. And it'll make your day, it'll make your night.
Sounds just.
It'll make you want to be a Bears fan even more. It will. All right, let's dive into the game a little bit, though. When we look at matchups, there are 3 people that concern me the most. I don't know if you agree with me, but there are 3 people that concern me the most. Josh Jacobs is one of them. Josh Jacobs is averaging 4.8 yards per carry this year. Okay, he has been a beast for Green Bay. They have a solid line. Again, I have him in fantasy, so I'm all for him having a big game, especially if the Bears are going to lose anyway. So he is a concern because the Bears' run defense has not been good this year. It just hasn't. The other guy who concerns me is not any of their receivers that you would think would be a concern. It's actually Tucker Kraft, who has come on this year playing very well. We talked about how the Bears have struggled against tight ends and plays over the middle. So it will be more than just Tucker Kraft to be anything that goes over the middle. But we even saw it happen with the Washington game, right? Like I made a comment like, look, I think Zach Ertz is going to have a decent game. I want to say he put up 60-plus yards, right? Like it might have been his best game of the year, to be honest. I'd have to look at that.
And he tipped that ball up at the end of the game.
There you go. See? Fuck him.
No, that's what, yeah, whatever.
The third person that I am concerned about the most, and probably more than the other 2, is Matt LaFleur himself. Matt LaFleur is a very good coach. I think not having Aaron Rodgers here has been a benefit to him. He does what needs to be done. He finds ways to win games, even when Jordan Love struggles. He knows how to work the open space. We talk about guys just getting open. That happens with Green Bay. It seems like there's at least one guy open on every play. He is going to make the Chicago Bears defensive backfield look like fools for the first time this year.
Yeah,
outside the Hail Mary play.
I agree with that completely. And it's going to be like the in-game adjustments. I remember going back to the season opener last year. The Bears fought the Packers pretty tough in the first half. It was pretty close. And Eberflus just went back to that locker room. All right, guys, good half. Let's just get out there, play with good effort, and just execute. Just get out there and execute. And like Matt LaFleur, I'm sure went back to the locker room and said, okay, guys, this is what they're doing. They're doing this, and this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and this. What do they do? They scored like 3 straight touchdowns coming out of halftime because he knows football and he makes the adjustments. He's just a good coach.
He plays to win the game. Matt Eberflus plays not to lose the game.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
All right, just to go over a little bit here, some just things regarding the Bears, things regarding the Packers, and it's all going to just pretty much favor the Packers. The Bears are on a 3-game losing streak. Packers are coming off a bye week. Okay, Packers are definitely have played better than Chicago this year. Chicago is coming off of a total of 12 points over the last 2 weeks. Yay! No touchdowns, 4 field goals. The Packers have scored. Where did I put this? The Packers have averaged 24-plus points per game. They've scored over 24 points per game in 7 out of 9 games.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Now, I will say the Bears have kept opponents to under 20 points per game. They're averaging 18.6. That makes them the 12th. No. I didn't put where they ranked. I want to say they were seventh best in the league. And they only have one game over 21 points. That was that Arizona game, which they were actually down 2 defensive backs in Brisker and Kyler Gordon, dating back to 2023. This is a good defense. It really is. But I just think Green Bay is going to expose them. And I think it's going to look really bad. And I think Matt Eberflus is going to go down the toilet. A couple other things to note. The Packers defense isn't as good as people think, though, either. They have allowed 22 points per game in the last 3 weeks. Their pass defense, though, has kept quarterbacks to 86.7 QB rating, which is 12th in the NFL. They have 22 sacks on the year. Chicago has 24, by the way, so they're about even. They have a 19.6% blitz rate, so watch out Caleb Williams there. I have a feeling that's going to tick up into about the 24-25% range, knowing how Chicago has not been able to work against that. The one thing, though, and I hope that we're going to see this change with Thomas Brown as a play caller, right? Like, he's a former running back. He's a former running backs coach. I think we're going to see a run game that actually is going to work very well, which hasn't been too bad under Shane Waldron, to be honest. But they're allowing 4.2 yards per carry and 113 yards per game. So they're right at league average. I think that's where you attack them. Build off of that with some actual play action that makes sense. There's a chance. There's a chance. When it comes to Jordan Love, though, I will say he is averaging 260 yards per game. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. 260 yards per game. However, only 15 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
So that right there is the one key to maybe the Bears can stay in this game. I know we just talked about turnovers aren't everything, but Jordan Love has shown the propensity to turn the ball over, make some risky throws. So if we can make him pay by at least intercepting the ball and then play some actual complementary football and score off of those turnovers, then maybe that's, maybe there's a chance. That's the key.
Yeah. Look, I said that I didn't think Jordan Love was going to have a good year. I said that he was going to have a sophomore-ish. I know it's not his real sophomore season, but technically a sophomore season playing as the starter. Slump this year. I still stand by it. The fact that you have 15 touchdowns and already 10 interceptions, to me, that's not great.
I mean, that's playing like a good quarterback, not like an elite quarterback the way it appeared he might be.
In the beginning of the year, Packers fans were all over social media about how fantastic he was. Yeah. And then they tried to blame it on the groin injury, on why he was throwing interceptions that first week back. And he did have 3. Okay, but even 15-7, like, it's not that's Kirk Cousin type numbers. That's not I can't say Patrick Mahomes this year because he has turned the ball over a lot more, but it's not your Josh Allen's. It's not your top of the league, year in, year out quarterbacks. He is an above average quarterback. He is not elite. He is not Aaron Rodgers in Aaron Rodgers' prime. If you want to compare him to any former Packers quarterback, he is more closely related to Brett Favre, who had a tendency to turn the ball over quite a bit, than he is Aaron Rodgers.
Still Hall of Famer.
Fuck him. I got nothing else. This is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So my birthday was this past week, and we are doing like a family celebration on Sunday. And normally I'd be like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday on a Sunday. Like, I just want to watch football. I don't even know if I want to watch this game. I have to for the podcast. I have to for Bear Goggles On.
We're going to watch. I mean, I've been making this comment at work all week too. Like, I'm still going to watch.
Of course we are. We're going to have a text thread going.
It's just like.
We're going to have a text thread
kind of like watching a car crash, but, it's my car crash, like
right. And we know no one's dying.
Right.
Well, we hope no one's dying.
Well, yeah. I mean, now that yeah. So, all right. Prediction time.
Prediction time. Do you have do you have the odds?
Yeah, I can go into that. So the game spreads are actually pretty interesting. Last week, before the games were played on Sunday, so before the Bears laid that egg against New England, the Packers were favored by 3.5.
Okay.
After it became clear to everybody in the world what the Bears are, it went up to 6.5.
Okay.
Now, I know us as Bears fans being so down on this team, that still doesn't seem like enough points. But in the world of betting,
15.
That is a monstrous jump. So what's interesting is that number has already been bet down to 5.5, which means that there's a lot of what they call sharp money coming in on the Bears just because of that jump is too much in their eyes. And the odds say that if there's a 3-point jump, it's too much. It should go the other way. So there's that part about looking at it too, where the smart people who bet on this stuff for a living are thinking the Bears have a chance. The over-under is 40.5, which is kind of an interesting number. You see the Packers defense isn't quite as good as people might think it is, but how good is the Bears offense? So all that being said, taken into account, I have the Packers 41, the Bears 6.
You have Matt Eberflus fired.
I have Matt Eberflus clearly begging to be fired. I don't know if I'm betting on the Bears putting him out of his misery.
This is a home game. He doesn't have to get on an airplane. Pack your bags. Go to Hallis. It's a noon game, right? Go to Hallis Hall. Get your shit. Get out of here and go back down to Indianapolis and be a defensive coordinator because you're done here in Chicago.
It's over. I mean, it's going to be the same script all over again. I think it's going to be kind of a tightly contested first half. Maybe it'll be 10-3, 10-6, maybe.
Well, we know the Bears won't score, or maybe
6-3, but there's a late touchdown for the Packers or something like that. And then in the second half, it's just going to be all Packers. Game over. The Bears are going to quit, and it's just going to be just a disaster.
So I am not as down on this team as you are. My bear goggles are on.
Good for you, Rob.
They're on.
You have 41-10.
I think the Thomas Brown coming in and taking over this team, it's going to make a difference. I said it wasn't going to make as big of a difference as it's not going to be exactly the same. It's going to make a difference. This Bears team, it feels like something's changing.
Rob, come on, man. Feeling and seeing it. Come on, man.
The Packers are not going to even break 30 points. This defense is too good. But, here's the but. 28 points for Green Bay this week. Chicago, 13. They're getting a touchdown. 13 points. The Packers are still going to cover. 28-13. I don't know if that's enough, though, for Eberflus to get fired.
Yeah, it kind of depends.
If I'm in charge.
Yeah. I mean, if we're in charge, he's already gone. So
he was gone last year.
Yeah. He wasn't going to training camp this year.
No. Ben Johnson would have been here. I would have backed that Brinks truck up. You could not have said no to me.
Yeah.
Okay? $20 million, 5 years, 30 million over 5 years.
If and when Eberflus gets fired, that's going to be another interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, there's a lot of names, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we both have the Bears losing.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us, though, guys. You watched this far. Let us know what your prediction is. How far off am I? How far off is Rob? Do you have a stunning turnaround? If so, let us know why. Hear it.
Hopefully, I'll get permission to get the Matt Forte episode up, so that'll be fun. Check that out if I can. If not, definitely go to beargoggleson.com, and I don't know when, but some point tomorrow, hopefully it'll be published. It won't have everything. I'm saving stuff specifically for the podcast, so hopefully that works out. But
yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be cool.
Yeah,
a cool opportunity. That's awesome.
Meeting him, most humble guy, down to earth, one of my favorite all-time players.
Sure.
Number 2 in rushing yards behind Walter Payton. Number 1 in rushing yards per game, above Walter Payton. One of 6 running backs to have over 100 receptions in the NFL. I'm telling you, I did my homework, man.
Yeah,
this guy is. I love him. Nicknamed the workhorse for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see him in what I would consider the era of running backs catching the ball out of the backfield that he was the start of, but just short of being in, because had he been in that era, his numbers would have been even better.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, until then, I will talk to you on Sunday in text.
That's right.
Crying, yelling. I don't know what else.
It'll be, with passion.
That's right. Until then, everybody bear down, claws up.
Oh.
Go Bears.
Yeah, we'll see. see.